Ronnie, we're live at the NASDAQ market site. We could be less than a couple hours away from the first ever labor union representation at a U.S. Amazon facility. Employees are expected to vote on it this evening. It comes about 2 weeks after Standpoint Research blacklisted Amazon, along with Apple and Philip Morris, on so-called moral and ethical grounds. Joining us now is Standpoint founder Ronnie Moas. Ronnie, great to speak with you again. Good to see you in person.
Thank you for having me.
Update us on what has happened since your first appearance here on CNBC's Fast Money, because you said at that time that you're willing to drive your business to the ground.
Yes. I have had thousands of visitors to my website. I had some very powerful people contact me saying that they want to do business with me because of what I did last week. I've gotten hundreds of messages from all over the world, including people that work on the Asian assembly lines. And it's been very encouraging. I feel like 80 to 90% of the people, my message is resonating with them, and the people that have a problem with what I'm saying probably didn't read my 40-page report or have taken words of mine out of context completely. I don't know anybody that can really go against what I'm saying.
A big part of the report is speaking up about people who are underpaid, essentially. And so I want to give you the chance to clarify something that came across in our interview, and that was the point about minimum wage workers going on strike in order to show their importance in society.
Yeah, I'm sick to my stomach from what I see in this country. We have people making 100 to 1,000 times what fast food workers are making, janitors, bus drivers, TSA people, kindergarten teachers. I think it's obscene, and the same way we look down, we are in disbelief at how people lived 100, 500, 1,000 years ago. I don't think we've made much progress. And 100 years from now, people are going to be in disbelief when they see the things going on in this country right now.
You make a lot of great points that I'm sure resonates with a lot of people out there. At the same time, this is somewhat a research note, right? You're still at Standpoint Research. So in terms of what you allege or what you put forth in that note, are you confident that everything is factually correct? That when you say that Apple assembly line workers at Foxconn make $2 an hour, how confident are you that that is correct? Because Foxconn's chairman pledged that he would pay $700 a month by 2013, and then you came back and said that it was hard to verify on the internet. You're a research analyst. What's the truth?
No, well, the problem is you have hundreds of different websites, and each one reports a different number. And even the number you gave me does not come out to being much more than $2 an hour. It might come closer to 3 than to 2.
Only if you worked 11 hours a day for 30 days a month.
Okay, $700 a month for a worker. In the United States, they would have to pay workers $4,000 or $5,000 a month to do that work. And it's disgraceful and disgusting that a company can sit on $150 billion and even think to pay a worker $2 to $3 an hour. I don't even want to go into what they have to actually do for that money. In this country, if they would treat their workers the way the people in Asia are being treated, the management would be thrown in jail. It's just unbelievable abuse of power. In this country, you get Christmas bonuses and performance bonuses and profit-sharing plans and retirement plans and health care coverage. And what Apple is doing on the backs of these people that built the company to what it is just mind-boggling to me.
I understand the whole argument, but I want to go back to the question, because you are a research analyst still, and even though you're doing this on ethical and moral grounds, you're putting forth a factual reason, a foundation. Are you confident that the facts in your report are actually facts?
Absolutely.
Have you verified this? $2 an hour is something that you have verified, even with hundreds of different internet accounts of what the information really is.
I've seen as low as $1.50. I've seen as high as 3 to 4. But even if you took the highest number there, it's still a fraction of what it should be.
Ronnie, have you visited the workers in Asia?
No, I haven't visited the workers in Asia, but I know that a couple of dozen of them committed suicide. And there's no way on earth to justify the wages that these people are being paid. To say that they're getting double what the minimum wage mandated by the Chinese government is mandating is ridiculous. The minimum wage there was $1.50 an hour.
Why not launch your attack on the Chinese government? Why launch your attack on a company?
Two wrongs don't make a right.
Isn't the root cause the Chinese government? Because if the city of Shenzhen has a minimum wage, which Apple is surpassing, why don't you go after Shenzhen then? Because they're allowing this to happen to all sorts of other workers out there, whether they belong to Apple's Foxconn or not.
It's very convenient for Apple to hide behind that defense. The bottom line is they have a lot of negotiating leverage and power, and it's convenient for them not to use that.
Ronnie, this sounds like a global issue. This sounds like an issue of globalization. And again, we're here on a stock show where ultimately we're talking about profit margins, et cetera. First of all, wages are going up in China, and a lot of labor is leaving. A lot of manufacturing is leaving China. That's a problem for China. But to say this is a U.S. problem, to say this is Apple's problem, I think is challenging. And what I would ask you is, because we talked about this, I met with Ronnie before. I have a lot of respect for what he's, the voice he's trying to, I think, get out there. But what could be done, and if Jeff Bezos could get on the phone right now and say, Ronnie, I agree with you, what would be a satisfactory answer for you?
I want him to take $500 million out of his pocket. He's worth $27 billion, and send every one of his 100,000 employees on a trip to the Galapagos Islands, which is where he was when they were being abused a few weeks ago.
So
That's what he has to do to make me happy.
I'm going to ask you
You're sitting on $27 billion. You should not be paying your workers $10 an hour to put 200 boxes an hour together.
Hold on, guys. So Ronnie, it sounds like you're calling for essentially a redistribution of wealth.
That's exactly what I'm calling for.
Are you a socialist?
I'm not a socialist, but I think it's obscene the amount of money that is controlled by the top 1 to 2% of the country compared to what the bottom 10 to 20% is controlling. They're sitting on tens of trillions of dollars. They could snap their fingers and wipe out poverty and bring everybody above $15 an hour.
Oh, hang on a second. Are we talking about here as well? Are you talking about here as well with minimum wage? Or are you talking about globally?
It's all over the world. The top 1-2% of the people can wipe out poverty in 1 second.
You do realize we went from manufacturing to heavy technology, so there's a lot of people that couldn't get a job to begin with. And you know what's transitory? These jobs that people start off at a certain level, one day they could manage the firm that they're working for. And by the way, the very rich people, you're talking about a handful of people. For the large extent, income, whether you're at the low end or the high end, is transitory.
I've heard all the arguments, and none of them make sense to me. The bottom line is we're giving $300 billion a year to charity in this country. That's 2% of GDP. If we would double or triple that, we would wipe poverty out, not just in this country, but we'd have money left over to help the problems
on poverty, and we lost the war on poverty. We spent $50 trillion in 50 years.
The bottom line is we have people living like animals in this country while other people are living in $20 million homes, driving $5 million boats.
All great arguments, but these are not arguments made by a research analyst.
I can argue whatever I want to argue. I'm disgusted by what I see, and I want people to stop talking about this.
Ronnie, good to see you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Ronnie Moas of Standpoint. All right, let's get to Pops and Drops.